Doesn't it sound like heaven to love your teen so well that they can't help themselves but love you back? Welcome to Pivot Parenting. I'm your host, Heather Frazier. And together, you and I are going to build more peace and joy so that your family looks forward to being together in the fun times and so that you are strong enough to overcome any obstacle that your family might face. This is where small weekly shifts that you implement create lasting change so that peace and happiness can truly abound in your home. Hello, my friend. Welcome to today's episode of Pivot Parenting, and I have girls' camp tea to spill. Every year, my religious congregation, I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we go to girls' camp. And I am so blessed to work with the young ladies in our congregation, ages 11 to 18. And this year we went to Zion National Park, which is one of my favorite places. And I had really great conversations with the ladies as we were hiking and adventuring. Everybody loved the Narrows. It just was beautiful, and it was very hot. And it got me thinking about what I want to talk about today, because I can see things from the parents' perspective and from our kids' perspective. So obviously this is information that I got from young women, but our youth all have similar experiences and feelings. It's not just the ladies here. But essentially, this is their take on what it feels like to disappoint their parents and how it feels and how it informs their behavior. And I think this is really relevant information for the parents to know, because oftentimes parents just see their own desires, thoughts, and feelings in a situation without really considering the impact on their child. They just want their child to be happy and to yield and obey so that their child can be safe and happy. And I get that. I've been that. And I want to broaden your horizon in how you see and think and feel about situations. So the common things that I hear kids and parents disconnect and feel disappointment around are religious changes and beliefs. So children or parents alter their religious perspective in some way. If there's anything neurodivergent going on, like ADHD, anxiety, depression, those types of things, academic expectations and failings, like parents really come down on children who aren't performing in a way that they want them to perform, LGBTQ plus lifestyle, substance abuse. It can even be something as benign as difference in interests. So maybe you love the arts, but they love sports, or you really love to be active as a family, except for the one kid who doesn't like being active, and the shame that they feel around your disappointment in that. Or they don't want to be your best friend, or they don't even seem to like you at all. Or maybe you don't like them because they're kind of obnoxious. There can also be disconnect around parents disapproving of their child's appearance, clothing, tattoos, piercings, weight. I actually coach a good number of parents on their child's weight because they think their child is too big. This is a pretty common thing. And we know that they would be happy if we just did what we told them to do. But here's the tea. They either aren't able to, or they don't want to. Or maybe they've tried really hard and it's never good enough for their parent, so they give up trying. At girls' camp, I heard things like girls repeating stories of when their moms would tell them that if they eat that Oreo that they're holding in their hand, that they're not going to fit in their homecoming dress, or other consistent critiques of these girls' bodies around the amount of movement and what they were eating, comparing her to her skinnier sisters, comparing these girls to other siblings who were academically achieving better than they were, or choosing different lifestyles than maybe these girls were. I heard stories of parents who couldn't even hold a conversation with their girls because of the massive disappointment that her mom radiated around her failings and who she chose to date. And so basically she and her mom hadn't talked really about anything in months because it always turned to an argument. I heard girls fretting about what they ate and the clothes they wore to hike and swim in and every other thing from sleep and their anxiety because they didn't know if they were good enough, and they were fearing disappointment of parents that weren't even at camp. So I know that your child might put off like they don't care, but I promise you they do. And it broke my heart because I could see that these wonderful girls just wanted their parents' approval and love, but they felt like they had always tried and failed. One girl said, "My mom will never approve of me, so I don't even bother anymore. She has my other siblings to dote on. Like, I am her failure," essentially is what this girl said. And it broke my heart because she is wonderful. Every single child out there, regardless of parental expectation, is worthy of love and acceptance. Imagine your teen walking into the room and your heart skips a beat because you're so excited to see them. Just connection, love, and peace flowing between you. You're confident that no matter their mood, it's going to be okay. This is the powerful skill set my clients gain. Book a free Discover Your Disconnection Pattern call with me, and I will outline your exact process to find the peace, connection, and confidence in your teen and their future you're wanting. Visit my website, heatherfrazier.com, or click the link in the show notes. Remember, Frazier is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. I look forward to meeting and helping you. I know that I've said this before in other podcasts, but I want to really drive home the point that when our children feel like they are failing us, like they cannot meet our expectations, we do not approve of them, they typically go into one of three behaviors, or they'll try out various forms of one of these three behaviors until they find one that feels decent to them. The first one is they will rebel. If I can't win, I might as well do whatever I want. Number two is they will continue to try to please us. They will become more anxious. They will try more valiantly to earn our approval. And this really sets them up for abusive relationships. It sets them up for anxiety and depression and a lot of really harmful things. And then number three is they become apathetic. They withdraw, they stop caring, they can't win, and so they just kind of shut down because they have tried, they have failed, and so they just move on. None of those are really fun for parents to be on the receiving side of. And so it's really important to be honest when we critique our behavior toward our child and our thoughts and feelings. Even if we never overtly say, "You have disappointed me," they can feel it. We have to be really, really mindful of that. So what can we do as parents? If we find ourselves doing this, which we all do it to varying degrees, and if you can't see where you've done this, ask your child and they'll tell you. And when they tell you, don't get offended. Just listen. It's valuable information that they're sharing with you. It's a 3-step process to turn things around. We want to understand why we are doing this. Number 2, we need to meet our own emotional needs because our child is not a doll or a pet or a possession to meet that need. They are their own individual person. And then number 3, we need to learn how to love our kids unconditionally, plus owning our mistakes, and apologizing. And then we prove that by actually changing our behavior toward our child. So number one, understand why we do this. At the root of it all, we are trying to meet a need through our child. We need to feel successful. We need to feel like their future is safe. We need to feel like our child is good enough because, and we can tell ourselves this comes from a good place, we want them to be happy. With, for example, the weight thing that I've coached many a parent on, they're really afraid of how harsh the world will be toward their child because of their weight. That they will have health problems, that they will have a less happy life because of the extra pounds that they carry on, that they will be sedentary, that they will die young, that they won't be able to conceive children as easily, or even find a partner as easily because of their weight. Now, socially, those things may or may not be true, and health-wise. But what this actually, as a coach, from my perspective, it informs me that parent is trying to manipulate the outcome for their child, and that they are parenting out of fear for their child's unhappiness and failure, which drives them to feel anxious, to feel controlling, to maybe become passive aggressive, like saying, if you eat that Oreo, you're not going to fit into your dress, or why don't you get off the couch? Or even these girls were saying sometimes their parents would call them lazy. Those either aggressive or passive aggressive behaviors towards our children is in fact the fruition of that parent's deepest fear, which is that their child will be rejected and unloved because of their size. And their parent is the one doing it to them. They are in fact the one rejecting, judging, shunning, causing that social and emotional pain that they're fearing their child will experience at other hands, but they are in fact providing it for them. If parents are fearing about academic failure of their child or perceived failure, or a lifestyle that they disagree with, like piercings or who they're dating or religious departures, they are disappointed in their child for the very same reason. They want their child to be safe and have a secure, happy future. But the way they are behaving out of that anxiety and fear is pushing a different result as the more likely option onto their child, which is, you don't go to church anymore? Well, now I'm going to shun you. You want to date your same gender? Well, guess what? I'm going to act really weird and make sure that now you don't really have as strong family support as you need when you're dating people. We are essentially enabling our worst fears as a more likely outcome for us and for our child, because we fear for their well-being and then we get really weird. This is why parents exude disappointment onto their children. This is why kids pick up on their parents' disappointment and choose to step away in some form or another. Because it hurts, and it hurts them too, because our parents are the one person that are supposed to love us no matter what, that are supposed to be there for us. And then when they're the one judging us, it hurts really badly. So of course they're not going to tell you everything. Of course you're not going to be the first person they come to, because they fear further rejection, which isolates them more, which makes them more prone to less quality decisions. And then parents become more disappointed because their child is still underperforming, maybe underperforming even more so. And this brings in step number 2, meeting our own emotional needs. There was a fantastic TED Talk about a doll complex that parents have around having children, that we all just want an extension of ourselves, that we can express ourselves. And this comes through in parenting. And so when our doll all of a sudden has a mind of their own, they don't want to wear the cute clothes that we've picked out. They don't want to sit pretty and perform for their parent. They want to actually be autonomous. then parents tend to go a little berserk because they want their child to meet their needs. They want their child to love them. They want their child to reinforce the belief that they have done a good job. And children best do this by making choices that the parent likes, like maintaining the family religion or keeping up appearances, whether that's through weight or clothing or piercings, whatever it is. We need our child to uphold our emotional needs of feeling successful and our emotional need of secured future safety. We love our kids. We want them to be happy. But oftentimes our brain does this really awful trick of defining what happiness looks like for our child. And oftentimes it is meeting specific societal or familial benchmarks. What I mean by that is, in order for a child to be happy, they need to graduate high school. They need to be heterosexual. They need to serve a church or humanitarian mission. They need to go to college. They need to get married. They need to have children. They need to have a standard, typical job like a doctor or a lawyer, or be a trad wife in order to be happy. But that is not true. Our child will secure happiness through an inside-out approach, which means they feel loved and comfortable enough to be themselves. And they meet their own needs, not their mommy and daddy's needs, which is step number 3, to love our kids unconditionally. We need to own our mistakes and apologize. We mess up all the time. It's not a big deal when we can be like, yeah, you're right. I was a little psycho when I said that. I'm sorry. And then you work to change that behavior. This is how we actually love our children, not by lecturing them, not by manipulating and micromanaging them enough to perform the way we want them to. That is not love. If you want to do that, get a dog and train them. Dogs will heel, roll over, go to bed. That's what dogs are for. Humans are not for that. Humans, our children, are to live autonomous lives. And yes, we should definitely have rules and consequences, and we should expect those to be broken. And we should choose rules and consequences wisely for our child's safety and well-being so that we know we are doing our best, not to control them, and not so that we can feel like we are a good parent. I've just given you a lot of information. What I want to really drive home here is that your children can feel your disappointment and it is not working in your favor. Really assess why you want them to be the way that they aren't being and what need that is that you're wanting them to fill, and then fill it yourself. It's a DIY job, my friend. If you need help doing that, I am happy to help. I understand how it feels to want our children to perform a certain way so that we think they'll be happy. I too have been here. I get it. I love you. I can empathize with you. And we're harming our children when we do this. Give this a try. Reach out if you need help in application. I'm always here, and we'll talk to you next week.
Heather is the one, an expert in the field. She knows her parenting stuff, including how confusing it can be. You've tried it all, and it's a lost cause. Crying in the closet 'cause you failed at being a mom. But think again, there's peace around the corner, and there's hope in your hands. Your kid just wants your love.